It's a pleasure to welcome you to another discussion segment on development focus with Jide on ITV this morning. This time around, I'll be speaking with a renowned award-winning author, poet laureate, and development consultant, Olumide Olaniyan. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jide.
Yeah, let's start from your work as a conflict manager. What's your take on the elders farmers clashes, and how do we resolve this whole conundrum?
The elders farmers clashes is not a new conflict to start.
Yeah, I know you've done some work around that over time.
It's been on, and it's in the past it's been in a lot of maybe rural communities, but in recent times it has also escalated to cities, because you now have elders moving their animals in the city. There have been efforts in the past to address this. This has not worked because we have been using the same means of addressing it, appealing to farmers most of the time to accommodate elders. But what has worked in several other climes is the fact that the government have made sure that the elders are not moving around with their animals, but they are able to do ranching. Ranching has worked in several other places, in South Africa, in a lot of southern African countries. What they do is ranching. It's also in Argentina and several other European countries. So there's no way in 2021 that Nigeria can insist on moving animals and doing open grazing that has not really helped, especially considering that climate change is also really affecting a lot of farmland, and the fact that the population is expanding.
But it's all about climate change, Olumide. Climate change warranted the movement of cattle from north to the south, because they are in search of grazing routes. They want to graze their animal. And in a bit of graze, because of the desertification arising from climate change, these herders have to move south. And in the course of that, they graze on farmlands, and that, I think, is what some experts have said precipitated the crisis. But if we are to enforce ban on open grazing and then enforce the ranching, as you have suggested, who should bear the cost? Do you foresee any role for government in that ranching exercise?
There may be role for government, but of course, from some of the studies we've carried out, we noted that quite a number of the owners of these animals are business people that can actually do more investment. They can obtain loans from the bank, and for perhaps maybe people that are just small-time farmers that are also into this, there could be support from government to help them to do proper ranching of the animal. But it's not really in the best interest of the country, considering the negative impact in terms of conflict, in terms of tension, in terms of loss of income by farmers, in terms of violence that this has brought to the country. So it's in our best interest to...
There's something that Arakunrin Rotimi Akeredolu said in the papers this morning, that most of the elders, killer elders, or these other elders that are involved in abduction and kidnapping, which is part of ethnic clashes in the southwest, are not Nigerians, they are foreigners. And that because there are two sides to this issue. One is elders farmers clashes. The other side I want us to look is the supposed involvement of Fulani elders in kidnapping business. And there are allegations that these people that you see involved in kidnapping for ransom among the elders are actually not Nigerians. What's your take on that?
Quite a number of persons in Nigeria have mentioned that quite a number of persons involved in kidnapping are people coming from outside of Nigeria.
But if they are from outside, how do they know the terrain so much?
That is why it's important that an agency like the Border Development, Community Development Agency should be functional. In fact, if you note, in the past, the Nigerian Immigration has noted that there are about 140
1,400 illegal entry
routes into Nigeria that are not legal. So it's something that is quite difficult, and that's why you have an agency like the Border Community Development Agency to ensure that there is proper development around the border, and to ensure that people just don't come into Nigeria without being documented, because that is so important. But the fact that people are even here, if the security agencies and a lot of persons are cooperating, they are cooperating with the locals. If people are reported, they are new in the community and they are reported to they need to report themselves to the authority, even if it's the traditional institution in that community. But in an institution where this is not done, that's where you have people getting into the forest and kidnapping Nigerians, and they seem to be getting away with it. And also with the Nigerian government, also the body language has not really helped matter, in terms of the fact that there has not been very strong communication from the federal government, especially, which is in charge of security issue, in terms of, I mean, letting Nigeria know that their security is utmost.
So as a peace builder, you have been involved in conflict management. Your master's degree is in conflict management from UPeace. What are the peace building measures you think the Nigerian government or government at the 3 tiers of governance, I mean federal, state and local, what are the peace building mechanisms that you will suggest to them?
Starting with is the fact that they really need to study the conflict. They need to know what exactly is the nature of this conflict, what are the root causes of this conflict, and what mechanism have we used in the past, where have they failed, and what new mechanism should we use now. More importantly is the fact that they need to cooperate with the local people in communities. That is very, very important. And also the fact that we need to talk to there are a lot of Nigerians, retired military people, retired security experts that we can talk with, that can look at this, because it's not so easy to go and copy what has worked in some other places, or to sit down in an office and to come up with what will work. We need to talk with people in various communities.
But NSRP that you worked for,
come up with what will work. For instance, let me talk on the NSRP. We work in some community in a number of local government was and not just not and some other community in Plateau State on this issue. We're able to help the communities where we work to resolve some of the elders farmers conflict, because we're able to bring together the elders and the farmer to dialogue, to constantly dialogue on the problem, and to agree on the way forward. For instance, on the use of stream in the community, the communities, the farmers agree on when they can go to the stream to use, and also as when elders can use it. And they agree on the fact that children, underage children, cannot move about with animals, and there are restricted areas where animals can be. Okay,
let's go into your second love, which is writing. You are author of an award-winning poetry book, Lucidity of Absurdity. Walk us through what was in your mind when you penned that poetry, that book of poetry. What were you seeking to achieve? And as that surpassed your imagination, the awards that it has brought to you, fame and all of that.
Thanks so much for that. Lucidity of Absurdity is a collection of poems that look at the fact that as individuals, as Africans, as Nigerians, there are so many things happening around us that may look absurd. And it doesn't mean that we have to resign or surrender to state of things. We have to look at issues that are affecting us. We have to stand up and take action. We have to address them. It may be a governance issue, it may be economic issue, it may even be health issues. It may even be the lucidity of absurdity is all encompassing, for the fact that it's also look at issue of racism, black persons in the world, how do the rest of the world look at the black? Look at issue of inequality, especially as it also affect women.
So did it come to you as a surprise that it has now been adopted in some schools as part of the school reading list, or as part of the recommended text for some tertiary institutions? What comes through that, and then the award that it has won?
I'm not really surprised that the book has won some award and is being used in some schools, and also the fact that it has enjoyed tremendous review from experts within the field of literature. For the fact that I spent about 2 decades writing that book, and that's putting in a lot of my knowledge, experience, and what I've gathered over the year in terms of how best can we address issues affecting us as human beings.
So when should we expect a follow-up? What's the title of your forthcoming book?
My forthcoming book is also looking like Lucidity of Absurdity. It's also actually titled Akimbo in Limbo.
Akimbo in Limbo. So yes, we watch out for Akimbo in Limbo. That's the much time will permit us to take on this segment with a renowned award-winning author of Lucidity of Absurdity. Even the title itself is like a oxymoron, Lucidity of Absurdity. But that is Olumide Olaniyan for you. He's a development consultant, he's author, he's poet laureate, and so many other things rolled into one. Time didn't permit us to go into the Ereke story. He has a streaming of the dialogue he daily has with his daughter, Ereke. Ladies and gentlemen, join us next week for another round of Development Focus with Jide. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.